Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Patrick Smith. I'm a sales manager here over at Foundation, and we are just getting started here. I'm going to give this another minute to let some other folks roll in. So if everybody wants to just hold tight for a second, and we'll see if we have some other users logged in, and then we will go ahead and get you moving here. So 30, 40 seconds, and then we'll get started. Okay, we should be good to go here. Might have some other users roll in a little bit late, but that's okay. We will get them caught up. So I appreciate everybody's time today. The purpose of today's webinar is really just to provide some insight on the reporting capabilities of Foundation. So mastering construction reporting, pretty much just a fancy way to say I'm going to show you some reports in Foundation that are geared toward construction, which of course is the only industry that we work. So again, really geared toward those that aren't familiar with Foundation. A lot of QuickBooks users out there that might be struggling with some of these construction reporting options, doing things manually. Where we would step in and help out to automate those reports. If there's anybody on the line here that already uses Foundation, you are more than welcome to stick around here. Full transparency, this is more of like a sales marketing type webinar. So kind of geared toward those that don't know as much about Foundation, that need help with their construction reporting. So those Foundation users that are out there might not get a ton out of this one, but you're welcome to stick around if maybe you just want to maybe throw some ideas around and get a feel for some of the reports that I'm going to show you. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and pull up Foundation. And another thing to point out, we're blocked off for an hour. This is going to be a quick one. Figure 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes if there's a lot of questions out there. So if anybody does have questions, you can just plug them into the little question box over on the right side of the screen in the GoToWebinar control panel. I can address those toward the end. Again, this will be pretty straightforward, just going through some sample reports to show you what our software is all about. So for those that aren't familiar with Foundation, we do construction accounting and project management. That is our bread and butter. That's what we've done for almost 40 years. So we are a direct provider. This is what we do as a company. We develop our software in-house. We sell, we train, we support. This is all direct with our clients. We only work construction. So the majority of companies that come on board with us are those that use QuickBooks or legacy software, antiquated software, that are looking to get into a system that's a little bit more streamlined, and again, designed for construction, like I mentioned. So we'll go through some of these reports, and this will be, kind of across the board here, some job reports, financials, payable, receivable type reports. Where I'd like to start here is with what we call the executive dashboard. So our dashboard, you could think of as a bucket that's gathering data. We are all about live job costing. We eliminate spreadsheets. We automate these reports. So this will give everybody a pretty good feel for what we can do in the way of drill downs in particular. All right, so let's say that you log into our system, you've got X amount of jobs that are active. This is going to tell you, okay, currently you're running about 9 million in active jobs or contracts, and you've billed about 6 million against those contracts. You're also able to see an estimated versus actual cost and an estimated versus actual gross profit. Over on the right side, that's where you would see each job individually that account for those totals. If I click this button that says View Report, that drills down into a pretty simple basic WIP schedule. So you're able to see the percentage of completion. Is the job overbilled? Is it underbilled? The WIP report's really the backbone of our software. That's the go-to report. There's a few different versions throughout our system. This is the one that's built into our dashboard. You've got a couple other options as well. So not limited to this. Some WIP schedules are a little bit more detailed than others, but regardless, it is an automated percentage of completion and over/under billing calculation. Now from here, okay, there's a job you want to look into off of that WIP report. Click the job number. You're able to drill down into a summary of that particular job. Contract amount, what's been billed against it, estimated cost, actual cost, gross margin, change orders, percentage of completion. So you get the idea. These are all numbers for that one job that we clicked into. A lot of users out there that jump on board with us are wanting to, or currently, cost coding their transactions. So this example here, I've got an estimated cost, $449. I'm sitting at an actual cost, $197 for this job. If I click the link that says job cost detail, here's a breakdown of different cost codes that account for my estimated versus actual. And these are only examples of codes that I used here. Codes in Foundation are customizable, they're user-defined, they're unlimited, they're alphanumeric. So general contractors of the world typically use the CSI divisions, the specialty subs, a lot of times have their own unique custom cost codes. With that in mind, users don't have to use codes at all in our software if you don't need that level of detail, but know that there is flexibility here. And then you'll see within these cost codes, here's my breakdown of labor for that particular code, material cost for that code, subcontract, equipment, burden. These we call cost classes. Also customizable within our software, also alphanumeric. These are pretty standard examples that I like to use here. But again, flexible in the way of the detail that each client wants to see. Now, with Foundation being integrated between modules, all these numbers are showing up in real time. So labor, that 4,200 that you're seeing here, that's pulling right from payroll. Material, subcontract, that's coming from accounts payable or inventory for those that track inventory. Heavy equipment cost, owned equipment, rented equipment. Burden, we allocate down to the penny as well. That'll take into account FICA that you're paying as an employer, unemployment, workers' comp, union fringes for the union contractors that are out there, prevailing wage fringes for the prevailing wage contractors. So as the time card is coded to the job and to the cost code, that raw labor allocates, the burden follows along down to the penny, again, using those rates that we would help embed into the system. So from a drill down standpoint, easy to access the transaction itself. If I want to see this 4,200 in labor broken down, I can click labor. That's going to show all the transactions that came out of that payroll module that account for that 4,200 in labor. So we're getting down to that granular detail. If I go back a screen and go to material, another example, you can see here I've got a couple AP invoices that account for that material expense. If I click either transaction number, here's the detail of that payable. And then we do have a document imaging module built into Foundation as well, which is pretty commonplace these days. Most clients use imaging where they're dragging and dropping files into our software, physically scanned documents or email attachments that are saved off of emails. Off of these reports, if I were to click this little paperclip icon, now we're able to drill down into a copy of that material invoice or subcontract invoice, whatever type of transaction it is. So the point here is these numbers are showing up automatically on these reports by way of the job setup, taking into account those estimated costs and the day-to-day entry against those jobs, which takes into account that actual cost. So think of this again as a bucket. It's just picking up data from that job setup and from those day-to-day accounting entries that are coded to that job and potentially to a cost code. Okay, so in order to have those accurate reports, the WIP, the percent complete, cost to complete, we have to have a budget. That those numbers have to originate from somewhere. Meaning if I go into job costing to set up a job, this is where I can create a job, or I'll just pull up an existing here. Okay, so I've got this job with a $775,000 contract value and a $675,000 cost estimate. If I come up to the budgets tab, this is where I can break that job down into those different cost codes. And you can see I've added 5 codes to this job. We can add more, drag and drop, double click. These again are just my examples of cost codes. So we add the codes that apply, we click OK, and then you can see breakdown site work, labor, material, and so on, breakdown demo, breakdown site prep. So these numbers, whether they're entered manually into our software, or you can copy from job A to job B, or you can import from Excel or from estimating software. Number of different ways you can populate that budget, but that's really the key to these reports. You have to have somewhere to start in the way of that budget, and then you're applying those actual costs against that job and that code, which would show, like we saw on the dashboard, the estimated versus actual. So live job costing, that is why we exist as a company. That is our backbone. That is truly what our system is geared around. So I mentioned the WIP that's built into the dashboard. Our standard over-under billing report, you can see I've got a bunch of favorites saved as what we call quick links over on the left here. So if you wanted to run a standard over-under WIP, you can go through the reports menu, run over-under billing. You can go through the quick links. It's just a couple ways to get to the same screens. So I'm going to kind of motor through these quick links today, but just know you can access that report a couple different ways. So here's our standard WIP. Again, a little bit more detailed than the one that we saw within the dashboard. What's really neat about our WIP schedule, in addition to it being automatically generated, is it will show the journal entry to make onto the financial side of things, and this can be posted right from here. So rather than running the WIP and then having to do a manual journal entry to get those numbers onto the financials, just post it right from here. It'll automatically update those financials without doing that manual journal entry. Okay, so in addition to the WIP, again, I'm just going to kind of work my way through here. Balance sheet, income statement, your standard financials, nothing really construction specific. The balance sheet, the income statement I have saved as favorites. Also cash flow statement, if I want to shove that one over as a favorite, I can do that as well. We can run our cash flow statement through here. So standard financials built right into our GL module and run them as needed. Financials are customizable within our system as well. If I just want to run our standard balance sheet, no problem. It is what it is. If you like it, if you're not finicky about it, absolutely use it. If maybe you'd like it to look a certain way, add columns and roll accounts up together in certain rows and line items, you can do that as well. So a lot of flexibility, whether it's out of the box type financials or those that are a little bit more customized. All right, agings. Always a sticking point here with the, we'll call it generic software users of the world. If I were to run an aged receivable, number of different ways we can do this. This example here is what we call aging by invoice. So here's my customer. Here's X amount of open invoices, 30, 60, 90, with a separate column for retainage. So there's no workaround for retainage. There's no double entry. What a billing is generated in our software, whether it's a standard invoice or a pay app by way of the AIA, which is built right into our accounts receivable module. If it finds retention on that job, it'll hang on to it. And it doesn't require separate entry, also doesn't show as a current due balance and goof up that aging. This is a true construction retainage aging report. And again, there's different ways you can run this. If I want to run this, let's say by customer job, we can pick that as an option. Now it's showing us, here's customer 2000, here's a couple active jobs. If I scroll down a bit, okay, here's customer 2002. I've got 3 active jobs, X amount of invoices open for those particular jobs. So again, there's different ways this can be run. Could be by customer job, could be by project manager, by geographic area, by job type, what we call project class. And these can also be filtered. If I only want to run an aging for a certain project manager, I can filter it out. Same thing if I want to run this for jobs in a certain county or city or state, however these are configured. This is a client by client type setting as well. So a lot of different ways you can run this, very flexible in the way of the different options. Same thing applies to the payable side of things. In the way of receivables, run it by customer job. On the payable side, maybe run it by vendor job or job vendor. So again, pretty flexible in nature, a lot of different options here. Okay, another big one here, overhead allocation. So a lot of companies that we bring on board here, some don't account for that overhead at all. Others are keeping an eye on the overhead, but they're not allocating it to different jobs. So we've got an automated process here that will take that overhead expense, divide it up to the different jobs, distribute it, and give you a little bit more accuracy on profitability and budget versus actual. So in this example here, I'm running this for 1 month, and I've got $25,000 in overhead expenses for that particular month. What the software would do is take that $25,000 and divide it up into the different jobs based on a couple different variables here. One way is based on direct expense, meaning, okay, if this Delaware courts job accounts for 11% of my direct expense for that month, it's going to get hit with 11% of that $25,000 overhead. This other job accounts for 2% of my direct expense, it's going to get hit with 2% of that $25,000. So a lot of companies will base this distribution on direct expenses. Others base it on revenue. Okay, that job is 11% of my revenue that month. It's getting 11% of that overhead $25,000. Others get a little bit more granular. It could be based on labor distribution. That job is 11% of my labor expense for that month. It's getting hit with 11% of the overhead, whereas maybe a general contractor would want that driven by subcontract expenses as opposed to labor. So the point here is there are a number of different options. We just help you or just kind of build this and configure it to divide those numbers up however you'd like based on those different variables. So pretty handy report, critical to do this just to make sure that all those overheads are shown properly against those jobs. Okay, motoring through here. Certified payroll for any of those prevailing wage contractors out there. This is also, of course, critical in the construction world. So we've got the federal WH-347. We will do the signature page as well. So this will come right out of our software. It is built into the program. There's no customization. This goes right onto a blank sheet of paper. And for those that need state-specific forms, or a lot of these other, even cities and different government entities have their own formats that are built in here. So all of these are included in our software. If you happen to, let's say run a job in Rhode Island of all places, you just pick that format. That's going to print according to the state of Rhode Island. Just pick one randomly, of course. So we're big into these state-specific forms. We embed them in the software. We revise them when needed, and it's just built into our payroll module. So there, if you need them, certified reports automatically generated. And with that in mind, if I jump into reports under payroll, we do have electronic certified payroll. So if you want to print it, you can print it. If you go to the electronic option, this is where we're getting into California contractors that need to upload to the DIR website, or LCP tracker, which is pretty common anymore. A lot of these services that are out there, we've got these formats built in. So there's no need to get into these websites and key any numbers in manually. For LCP tracker, as an example, our system will just kick that file out, upload it to the LCP website, wipe your hands clean. There's no manual entry that you're doing into those websites, considering we've got these formats that are built directly in. So certified reports automatically generated, whether they're printed out of our system or submitted electronically, or a combination of both. And so everybody's aware, just kind of generally speaking, there is no purging, there is no archiving that's necessary within our program. All of that data remains. If you need to run a certified report from 10 years ago, if you're on the program for that long, you can dig those reports up. So we don't require a hard close. We're not a purge archive type system. We're not that antiquated environment behind the scenes. All of that data remains intact. All right. Couple others, and then I'll check for questions. Projected cost. So we looked at that budget versus actual. Great, the system will just take that budget, less the actual, show you that cost to complete. For those that project their cost, and this can be done on a job level, this can be done on a cost code level like we're seeing here. So for this Midway Airport job, I budgeted $18,500 for demolition. I'm sitting at $29,000 in actual cost. We've gone over that original budget. I can put in a projection. Okay, we think we're going to finish at $33,000 for demolition. Then it's going to take that projection less the actual, show us that projected cost to complete, and take that 29 over the 33 to show us that percentage of completion. So there's no need in our system to finagle with that estimated cost. Of course, you can put in internal change orders to increase or decrease that budget, but based on the analysis of that job and where you think you're going to finish, we do have that third variable. Leave that estimated as is, plus or minus any legit change orders, have that actual cost feed in from the accounting entry, and then you can plug in that projection as often as you want, day by day, and it would show you that cost to complete and that percent complete based on that third variable, that projection. All right, and so everybody is aware that is done within our job cost module, whether it's on a cost code level or a job level. If I come in here to put in, let's say, a projection for a particular job, put in a date. Okay, that's where I can show, okay, here's my asphalt, 82,000 budget, 14,000 actual, here's my 18% complete. Then I can get in here and put in the projection or put in a percentage, and then it would calculate that projection. So this projection screen, this allows you that third variable. And again, it is date driven. I can put in a projection today. I can put in another one tomorrow. It's not going to override today's projection. So just one of those, you can see what you projected last month versus this month without overriding as you put these numbers in. All right, and then this last one here, I just kind of have randomly saved as a favorite. This one is what we call labor variance. This is shown by code, estimated hours, actual hours, variance, percentage of completion, estimated labor costs, actual, variance, percentage of completion against those dollars. So again, just kind of random, just another example of what we have to offer here. Okay, I'm going to check for questions. Bear with me here. Let's see what we got. Okay, so we've got a question. What report was the main report that opened under the executive dashboard? That is the dashboard. So yeah, if you get into that dashboard, which I've shortcutted here, yeah, this is the executive dashboard. So you start with that graph and chart type view, then you drill into the WIP, then you're drilling into the job off of that WIP. So yeah, this really is the dashboard itself. This is what it's all about. And you see up top, there's different tabs here. We went through the job cost piece. You can drill down into your change orders. You can access financials. You can see cash activity, cash account balances, company cash flow, project or job cash flow. This is pretty slick. I'll show you here. If I drill down into this section, this is showing us job by job. What have we billed? What does the job cost us? Cash that we've collected against the billings, cash that we've paid out through both payables and payroll. And then you can see it'll calculate positive or negative cash flow job by job. This, again, is automated, based on the transactions you're keying into the job itself. Okay, jumping back over to the question panel. All right. Question came over, see that we have a balance sheet and an income statement. If a company is using Foundation, do we really need QuickBooks? No, we're designed to replace QuickBooks. So yeah, no need to have that as like a supplement to our software. Yeah, the goal here is, hey, if you're on QuickBooks, you move into Foundation, we are replacing QuickBooks altogether. Okay, Going to hammer through a few. There's a bunch in here, so just kind of bear with me. We're going to see if we can get to all of them. Okay, yep, question came over. How do you roll financials up into subgroups? Yeah, that's getting into our data genie. That is something that, yeah, Paul, that's one that you submitted. Yeah, we'd kind of have to take you through how to use the data genie if you're not familiar with it. So everyone's aware. What I mentioned is the data genie. That's our built-in report writer. So the financial statements that we provide out of the gate, use them. Like I said, they kind of are what they are. But getting into our report writer, it's a drag and drop interface. Once you kind of poke around in there a little bit, it's pretty easy to pick up on. But yeah, Paul, it's something that we'd probably have to spend some time with you if you haven't used it before. Okay, gotcha. So let's see what else we have here. Yeah, Paul, another one from you about the dashboard. Yeah, if you don't have part of that installed, we can take that, or we can get that taken care of for you. So yeah, maybe place a support call and let them know what you're running into. If it's not installed, we can definitely help get that in order. All right, couple others, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Storage limit. Somebody had a question about, is there a storage limit? There's not. So with our cloud environment, that is something that we handle ourselves. We don't farm that out to a third party like an AWS or anything like that. So yeah, we're really not at their mercy. We include unlimited data storage with our fees, and yeah, that could be invoice copies, that could be employee documents, job documents, so anything that you want to store electronically. If you're to use our document imaging module, it's all about dragging and dropping, and yeah, no capacity limits there. Also, so everybody's aware, support is unlimited. So for any company that does end up coming our way, yeah, just know you pay an implementation fee, you pay a monthly fee. You can call us every day for support if you need to. There's no limitation. Just like that, data storage is unlimited. So no hourly rates, no annual fees. It's all built into that monthly. Okay. Yeah, there's some others. If these are foundation clients that have questions, then yeah, some of these you might want to throw a support call out there. If some of these are more like procedurals, how to do this, how to do that. So yeah, if these are more like kind of like how to use foundation or how to do this or that, yeah, probably throw a support call out there. But really, for the most part, it looks like we've covered the majority of them. So everybody's going to get a recording of this overview. If there are any kind of questions, you can come directly to me. You're all going to have my contact info. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that email. Be on the lookout for that link to the recording. And again, anybody wants to take a deeper dive into the system, go through more of like a one-on-one type demo, yeah, feel free to reach out. You're all going to have my contact info once you get that recording. Yeah, appreciate everybody's time. Hope you learned a bit about our software. And yeah, reach out at your convenience if you need anything, and we will go from there. Appreciate it once again, and you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks. Take care.